Welcome to Interro Bites. These are 15-minute videos taken from my long-form live streams. If you want to see the full video or more, subscribe to Dacquisto and check out the playlists on my main page. Thanks for being here. Enjoy.
All these emails, and the idea was we're going to persuade some judge that Danny needs to be reined in. I read this document. At this point, I'm a little skeptical because she's screwing everybody else. I said, this is an indictment of Wendi Adelson's character. You read this thing, you get the impression this woman is a total loon. You know, it was interesting because she thought it, like, from her point of view, it showed what an asshole Danny was. If you were to read this, it's like, this person is crazy. So that was when I started to figure that out. But there's that different perception. At first, she seems really together, and then just loses her mind. So my worry is that she had something to do with this. And has no conscience. And it's hard for me to believe she could, I know you can't give a polygraph. I can't believe she'd pass a polygraph. I can't believe she would stand up to repeated questioning if you guys had any leverage. I understand that this was done in a smart way. I don't have any leverage. But my experience with her was over time, she just collapses. But if the question is, did he threaten Danny? No. If the question is, was he pathologically upset with Danny in a way I found disturbing and that put me off and it was different than, say, even Wendy or her mom? Yes. Incredibly intense about it.
So he was saying here that Charlie took that hatred to the next level, even beyond Wendy and her mom, which was, as we know from lots of documentation, was way over the top. So that's a lot. And as we know from his previous interviews here that we've covered, he hated Dan Markel because he didn't know, he took her perspective on these things.
Incredibly intense. Charlie's so difficult to get along with. He doesn't have one dental office. He works at 5 dental offices. They can only handle him 1 day a week in each office.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, this is an interesting statement, and we know that Charles Adelson was a periodontist, and that he would go to multiple offices on different days of the week, which is not uncommon in that field. But what Jeffrey's saying here, and like the insight he gave about him being a problem child in school, and he had a terminology for that and all that. But he's saying he must have heard this, right, from either Wendy or Charlie. And he only spent one evening with Charlie, so it's probably from Wendy, that the reason he goes from office to office is because he can't get along with anyone, so he can't be in the same office 5 days a week. That's what he's saying here.
And he seems to know this and strategize it. He's figuring out how to make it work for him. But he was a special ed kid, I believe. He was very difficult to get along with. And he is fiercely protective of Wendy. He had suggested seriously that they convert to Islam.
The whole family?
Just Wendy and the kids.
Islam
or Christianity, one or the other. Just to screw with Danny.
So they're not very devout in their
No,
Jewish
they're atheistic Jews.
Pardon?
They're atheistic Jews, Jews that don't really believe in God. They do it culturally, they eat the food. These people don't have ethics or morals. I mean, they don't.
These people don't have ethics or morals. They don't. That's what he just said.
Immediately after the homicide, you came back. I'm with that, and then you reached out to Wendy, or she contacted you?
10 days later, she texted a mutual friend acting as if I would be upset with her.
Right.
And I said, tell her to call me. She did. At 3 a.m. She wasn't sleeping well. And we had a very awkward conversation. Mostly just, I think literally she talked for an hour and a half, and I said probably 30 words. I just listened mostly. It was real. She wasn't sleeping. It was real crazy. But that's where she told me a lot of things that weren't true. I mean, she was, and that could just be a relationship thing. I mean, I couldn't contact you until Ginny Judkins talked to you,
right.
I believe. And I don't know. That was really strange not to. All my friends were texting with her, and she wasn't writing a lot back, but everyone else she acknowledged. If I think of anything, I'll get back in. I actually had 2 quick questions for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So he was saying it was really weird because everybody was talking about this, but Wendy didn't return his text. He, obviously didn't learn that this happened from Wendy, which he thought was awful. Of course, it was very hurtful too because he loved her, but he loved the children, and she took off out of town, and he was just spinning from all this. But he's saying that he feels it was suspicious, not just mean-spirited or it hurt his feelings, but he felt like that was some thing suspicious, especially in light of all the chatter that they suspected he was he was the reason for Dan's death.
This is completely selfish, but I'm concerned about me in this situation. I'm wondering how long it is, in your opinion, before the media, before journalists are poking around looking at this case. And I'm worried about my potential exposure as a professor and as a person.
This is an open case. They can ask all they want to. They're not getting anything.
Okay. That's for the foreseeable.
I mean, I may call you. I mean, at some day you may be called as some type of witness.
I would do it in a second. Yeah.
Okay, I want to make sure that we're upfront about this. I mean, let's say it goes from here to an arrest to a prosecution.
I'm there.
And for some reason, your testimony is needed.
I would say anything I said today under oath. I would.
Okay.
So that's easy.
All right. But as far as anything prior to, anything that you're telling me, if for some reason that was, leaked to the press or anything like that, then I got an arrest to make of somebody else, no matter who it is.
I got you.
Okay.
I got you.
Should
one
not
other
be
email I
considered.
sent him, I pretty much accused her.
Okay. But I mean, obviously, it's more than that. I mean, yeah, you more than just suspect her at this point. That's what you've been telling me this afternoon, right?
No, that's true. That's
what I've basically gotten from you is this woman is directly involved.
She is.
Now, I don't think you're saying necessarily that she killed her ex-husband,
no.
But she either had something to do with orchestrating it or had knowledge that it was going to happen. That's the whole point about I have to be back on the 18th, right?
No, give you a thumbs up, and then and know what's going to happen. There's something weird about that date. So I don't think she doesn't have the skill to orchestrate it, but Charlie does. So that's correct. And
But you left.
She doesn't. I'm so sorry. I think this is funny. She doesn't have the I'm so sorry. She doesn't have the skill to orchestrate it, but Charlie does.
Left on Thursday, and your last conversation with her was on Wednesday.
My last conversation with her was on Tuesday. An hour before that email where she says, look, I need a week.
Okay. Again, this is where the Tuesday comes from, everybody. Don't shoot the messenger. The last conversation was on Tuesday. Okay, this is regarding other comments and commentary. So it doesn't matter. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I just don't want anyone to think I'm saying something that I am simply allowing these interviews speak for themselves. And he's talking about Tuesday.
No, on the email, she says she needs a week.
Yeah.
An hour before she sends the email, she says, "Are you still in town?"
That's exactly right.
And you said, "I don't know. It's still up in the air." Yeah. But you did not. She did not ask you to stay in town.
No, she did. But like the next day, I see Jane McPherson at work, and maybe there's all kinds of possibilities. How she would have found out I was leaving. Do you have any suggestions if I know they're doing a dateline on the Frosch guy that killed his wife out in Thomasville, and they already came to town. Any just advice from being an experienced investigator what I should do if I'm approached by the media, because it's not unimaginable.
Go talk to investigator Eisen.
Okay.
How simple is that?
That's easy.
Okay. Don't.
So he's just saying, what should I do if these people are trying to speak with me? And he's saying, go talk to Detective Isom. And so he's handling it for him. Yeah. And I just had to say it because I'm getting so much commentary about this Tuesday. It's like, okay. So yes. And I'm curious about this too. Thank you, Katie, for that question. It's lucky that he hasn't had anywhere near the publicity the Adelson clan has had. I don't think they've had that. Oh, you mean like with the 2020 and all that? Alfred. That's right. That's what he's saying. He has said so many times in so many different ways. And in one time, I'm going to directly quote him. He said, I think she's involved. I don't know how else. She didn't just know about it. She had to be, he was saying she had to be a part of it. And Downtown Wonder is saying he doesn't come off as jealous. He just believed everything she said and she strung him along. And so go Georgia, you think he's reserved, and that Publicity snapping around, I think you're saying, and following him. I hope not. Alfred, also, I read that the whole town split over the divorce and half the town bought Wendy's story. I've heard that too. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of this. But, snooping. Why couldn't I figure that out? Okay. I've heard that too. That Wendy was a little social butterfly, very well liked. I mean, when you look at her when she was younger, I put a clip of a little gif of the appearance she made on the weakest link, and even on the 2020, I think it was, or maybe it was in the podcast, she was described as just being kind of goofy, and very likable, and unassuming. So she had a lot of friends. She made a lot of friends. She was in a position to make a lot of friends, and a lot of people evidently believed her. So, and that's okay because she hasn't been charged yet. And she has been named, though. She has been named by the state of Florida as a conspirator in the murder of her ex-husband, but she has not been indicted. So hopefully the truth will all come out for everyone's sake. Everyone deserves their day in court if that's what it comes down to. So yeah. So if you've seen this and you haven't seen the previous lead up, there's 3 other videos in the Interro Talk playlist. The link for the playlist is right under here in the description. And I'm curious. And so let's just finish this out real quick. I think we're almost at the end.
Don't have to say yes, no, nothing. You're a U.S. citizen. You don't have, there's nothing yes, they have First Amendment in their favor, but that doesn't mean you have to say a thing.
No, I appreciate that, but I watched Dateline enough that I can just imagine that me being presented with these pseudo suspects, that's how they do it.
That would be it. I don't think they're going to do that. There's a lot of that could be libel a lot. I mean, I don't have you listed as anything at this point.
Good.
Okay, so no, you shouldn't have to worry about that.